call it weekly wisdom, call it your Monday motivation, whatever it is, you're going to be thankful that you tuned in today. I'm Zach, as always, with the one and only Coach Mike Basovic. How are you? How's the weekend?
I'm doing wonderful, buddy. How are you?
Doing
The
well.
weekend was good, except I'm a longtime suffering Chicago Bears fan, and I entered this season with a renewed optimism because of the offseason they have. But the Bears win the offseason every year, and it was painful. So my Sunday was a little bit tarnished, and I think I'm going to have my own diet for the mind and a little less Bears, I think, are my immediate future. So other than that, the weekend was great.
So a little resistance about the Bears and their current state right now. Not
Well,
happy.
they suck. And it's the same stuff every year. So you talk to any Chicago sport, the level of incompetence in our sports teams in Chicago is just it's really like incredulous. Like where you look at the White Sox, they're about to set the record for most losses in a year and in history of baseball. Think about that. The sport is only 160 years old or so. So the White Sox are going to set that record this year. Cubs got eliminated from the playoffs. The Blackhawks haven't been relevant in almost 10 years now.
Yep.
And the Bulls, remember Michael Jordan?
Of course I do.
He's been retired since 1998 from the Bulls anyway, and they haven't won since then. So it's so as a Chicago sports fan, I play a lot of golf on the weekends, so that's a lot of focus on doing.
Well, you know why I don't have any resistance around that topic?
Yeah,
because
I do.
Why is that? Why don't I?
You don't follow sports much.
I don't.
You're a musician. You're a creative guy. I get it.
You can't be let down if you're not rooting for anybody.
I agree. I like it, buddy. Yeah. All right. So, but everything's good.
Good.
Everything's wonderful. I'm excited about today's subject.
Yeah, as am I, because, well, I mean, I've experienced it. You experienced it. Millions and millions of people around the world experience it. And this idea of not sleeping at night. And so many people are having those sleepless nights and only getting a few hours a week. And so, I know that there's a lot of things, obviously being involved in the work, what goes into that. I mean, it's a multitude of things, but what would you say when it all boils down to why aren't people sleeping?
There's one reason and one reason only. And I agree, and I'll tell you that in a second, but I agree with you, Zach. I see it all over the place. I saw a friend of mine that I grew up with post on Facebook last week that she wasn't sleeping at night. And it was really driving her batty. And I just posted, I said, hey, I'm going to talk about this subject on Monday. I actually saw her feed and I'm like, hey, wait, I'll post on this subject on Monday, but I see it and I hear it all the time. I've got many, many friends that tell me all the time, I'm not sleeping at night. And I said, you have to sleep at night. It's the most important thing to rest your body, but also your mind. And I'll get to that in a second. But the one reason and the one reason only that people aren't sleeping at night is because their mind is overactive. And the mind is overactive because you've got subjects that are making your mind overactive that you keep regurgitating and keep obsessing upon, or you've trained your mind to be overactive. The mind is just a machine that'll do what you train it to do, not the brain. The brain is a switching station. The mind is essentially where your thoughts come from. There's nowhere in the brain that they can regulate or create thought. It comes from a force that we call the state of being, that is essentially your subconscious mind. And when that mind is taught to be overactive, it is obsessively thinking. So when you wake up in the middle of the night, that everyone does between their REM cycles or to use the bathroom or something, when your mind is overactive, you're going to wake up and stay up. And now you obsessively think about the subjects or the what ifs or the fear or just the frustration that you're not sleeping and you can't quiet your mind. And also a lot of people can't shut their mind off at night at a normal hour, 10, 10:30, 11, whatever it is, your hour. And they don't fall asleep until 1 a.m. And then when they fall asleep, they sleep until 5 or 6 or 7, whenever they have to get up. And that's a problem too. But the only reason is an overactive mind. And there's things you can do to fix that mind, which we'll get into today as well.
Yeah. And as soon as you started bringing this up, and my mind went to, obviously, when I first found you. And I remember that time, and I remember that time very well.
Yeah.
And I remember I had actually just finished writing a song, and it's the song "Let Go," which you've heard.
Now I love that song.
And the thing is, the opening line of that song is, "The voice won't sleep tonight. At 3 a.m. it comes to life alive. It happens all the time."
Yeah.
That's what
Right.
that song was about, is that I was just in this state of that overactive mind. I had a career that was at that point in time conflicting for me. Had a
Yeah.
relationship that was heading down a wrong direction. And
Yeah.
so I had all these different conversations, an overactive mind having multiple conversations, and there's only one of me, right?
Yeah.
So it feels like you have this voice in your head, and that voice can tear you apart. But um,
Sure.
yeah, I'm sorry that just as you were,
No,
describing, I
that's
went back to my experience, and
yeah, all valid stuff. And everyone has stuff. It's not about like not having challenges in your life and not having circumstances. And no matter who you are, something might happen in your life, whether it's a illness of a parent or a loved one, or even a dog that, we had to put down one of our dogs a couple of years ago. And when you have an emotional event in your life that happens, or even an argument with a spouse or a loved one, that might, you might not sleep as good that night. But if it's a pattern of behavior that you don't sleep at night, that's a product of the subconscious mind, and it's literally been trained to do that. And the way we train our subconscious mind in doing that are a couple ways. Now, think about the subconscious mind. It doesn't have it's a computer. It's a hard drive. It doesn't have an opinion. It doesn't have judgment. It doesn't have bias. It doesn't say this is good, this is bad. It takes what you give it and it becomes it. So I speak the way I speak because I was born and raised in Chicago. And if I was in a certain neighborhood in Chicago, I might speak even a little bit differently, depending on where you grew up in Chicago. But if I was, you hear me say this all the time. If I was raised in England, I'd have a British accent. If I was raised in Australia, I'd speak the same language differently. And that's just because that's what your mind learned by adapting to the environment. So it learns from what you give it. Now, as we go through life, your mind is always on record. It's a DVR that's set to record all the time, but it also has AI. It's going to learn from what you give it. So now, if you're constantly worried, or you've had a stressful life, or you learn how to be a what ifer, right? What if this happens? What if a catastrophizer? Fill in the blank. Or if you're just always stressed, or you're just afraid of the kids, afraid of death, afraid of whatever, just whatever. If you're an excessive worrier, the mind is like, sure, no problem, Zach. I'll give you more of that. And now the mind is learning from you, and the mind is giving it back to you. And then the more that the mind is in what I call emotional resistance, stress, worry, anxiety, fear, overwhelm, then the mind's going to become better at it, and it's going to start becoming faster at creating those thoughts, because a mind in resistance, emotional resistance, the emotions that don't feel good, then it's going to run faster. That's why the mind seems to be racing at times with some people that are overwhelmed and in chaos. Even though you can only have one thought at a time, it's impossible to have two thoughts at the same time. But if they're rapid fire, one after another, after another, after another, now you wake up in the middle of the night and there goes the mind is just racing. And unfortunately, so many people are trying to like self-medicate the way out of it. They take dangerous drugs, or gummies, or all this shit that's no good. And they, I see people all the time. You actually heard a conversation of a young lady at our conference that wasn't one of our attendees, but she asked why we were there, and we told her. She goes, "Oh my God, Klonopin's my best friend." And this is a young girl. You were there for that, and we weren't talking her out of that. And I thought, oh boy. And now these people that like swear by sleep aids that are drugs, like Ambien or NyQuil or gummies, or they're just self-medicating to sleep. That's so dangerous, because your mind is still unhealthy, right? So just imagine having to take something for your body to perform every day. Sooner or later, the body's going to give out. And sooner or later, the mind's going to give out, because just like your body needs rest at night, your mind needs rest at night, because the mind is an engine. It's a machine. And if it's running at warp speeds, it's going to snap. That's where dementia comes from. That's where Alzheimer's comes from. That's where breakdowns come from. And then when the mind is running unhealthy, as it communicates with the body, guess what happens to the body? That starts becoming unhealthy. So every cell in your body is receiving signals of distress from the mind, and then the cells become unhealthy. So as the new cells generate in your body, they come into an unhealthy community. So they become unhealthy too. That's why so many people are suffering mentally and emotionally, because and then physically, because the body is in an unhealthy emotional environment. So to self-medicate every night, sure, it might get you to sleep, but that's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. And if you want a really healthy mind, you've got to rest that mind, you've got to rest your body, you've got to rest it all at night. And you do that by slowing things down and creating a healthy environment mentally and emotionally, not by self-medicating.
And just you painted such a clear picture for me. I mean, obviously the law, an object tends to stay in motion unless acted upon by a greater force, right? So your
Yeah.
mind is going to jump from one thought to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, until you understand how to slow it down. And
Mhm.
I often, when I speak to somebody for the first time, who is interested in learning a little bit more about the No Limits, the Anxiety Free Executive Program, I often describe it as it's like your body, your mind is a Ferrari. You can haul, haul butt down the road as fast as you want for as long as you want, but at some point that Ferrari is going to run out of gas. It's going to break down. It's going to
Sure.
need maintenance.
Yeah.
And obviously, a lot of people that come through the program, they are high achieving people. I mean, they're used to that
Pressure.
grit, that pressure, but at some point, you still got to give that motor some
Yeah.
TLC.
Yeah. Well, most people live their life when they're waiting for things to be perfect so they can be happy. And if they're not stressed, they think they don't care. So I'll repeat that. If they're not worried and stressed about something they think they should be worried and stressed about, then they believe that they don't care, which is not true. So as a parent, you've met most of our children, if not all of them. And you know that Kelly and I love all of our children very much. And are we concerned about them? Of course, we're always checking in on them. They all live all over the country, and my oldest daughter travels the world, and we always check in, know where they're at, what they're doing. We never worry about them because why would we worry about them? And what would that do to us? If we worry, how does that affect their safety or not? We teach them well. We tell them, we give them good guidelines and mentorship, but why would we ever stress and worry about them? It does no good except teach the mind to stress and worry. But that doesn't mean we don't care and love our kids tremendously. We love our kids as much as any parent loves their children, and we do anything for them. Um, but think about that concept of stress and worry. And then people do it in business, they do it in family. And no 18-year-old person, if you talk to an 18-year-old, Zach, they say, "What do you want for your life?" They say, "Well, I want to have this family that I worry about every day. I want to have 3 or 4 kids that I stress about every day. I want to have a business that consumes me and overwhelms me where I can't be present with those kids that I had. And then I want to really have a lot of tension and anger. So when I get home, I can snap at my spouse." No one sets those for goals, but unfortunately, that's the way most people live. And then they do those things and I say, why am I being like that? I don't want to be like that. I don't want to snap at my spouse. I don't want to not be present for my kids. I don't want to not sleep at night. They're doing it all because the mind has been conditioned and trained to be that. And the mind will only do, the subconscious mind will only do what it's been conditioned and trained to be. Period. End of story. So you wouldn't go out in your backyard and throw a ball up in the air and expect it to stay up. And I would, I'd probably say, "Zach, let's come on inside, have a cold glass of water or something. It's not going to happen no matter how
I
many
know you
times you
don't
try it."
follow sports. I know you don't follow sports, but at least
Yeah,
understand.
it's not staying up. Well, trying to live a peaceful, content, happy life or sleep all night when your mind is running a different program, it's impossible. So you've got to start training the mind to be more relaxed, to be calmer. Now, we give our clients a lot of very profound tools, as you know, that not only like get the mind healthy, but it transforms the mind to a machine of good. And I'm not just talking about happiness and content, but I'm talking about motivation, drive, passion, excitement every day. We're not supposed to be jumping up and down. That's not a natural state of being, like super excited like you would be if you win a sporting event or if you're at a concert or something. Those are feelings that are wonderful, exhilarating, but that's not every day. We're not supposed to be on every moment of every day. We're going to have down moments. We're going to have challenges. We're going to have hiccups. We're going to have fears. Those are all normal, but you can't obsess about those things. But the natural, normal state of being that people should be moving through life, the healthiest one, is contentment. It's literally like, okay, I've got this challenge. I'm very aware of it and I'm taking it very seriously, but I'm focused on solving this challenge and moving forward. And I'm happy right now. I'm content right now. I'm peaceful right now Just think of an emergency room. Who are the most calm, focused people in an emergency room? The doctors and the nurses, because they understand what's at stake. They know it's an emergency, but they're never going to let their emotions get them away from being their best for the patient. So that's the way we're supposed to be going through life. And we teach our clients how to transform their minds completely. But I can give some tools here on this video for some folks watching that will literally start to calm that mind. And then hopefully they can start training the mind to be relaxed. And especially at night, when they could fall asleep and stay asleep.
Well, I'm waiting for these tools here.
All right, buddy. Okay.
Yeah, I want to know what those tools are. I mean,
The first thing we do with our people in the program is we put them on a diet for the mind. Now, the diet for the mind is really simple. We call it the 3S, right? You got to focus on what's important, like where you want to go. Like people think what's important, like the problem, the serious conversations, the challenges, the kids' schedules. That's not important stuff. Because think about your life. Everything that you're focused on, most of the stuff that people are focused on every day doesn't matter. To-do list, for example, you're always going to have a to-do list. I've got buddies of mine that are older than me that are retired, and they have a to-do list just as much as they did when they were working. They know what they're doing every single day. So you're always going to have a to-do list. You're always going to have something in your life that's a challenge or a concern. And whether it's a elderly parent that we're caring for, that which I am now, whatever, fill in the blank, kids' schedules, kids' safety, kids' graduation, kids going off to college. It's like, think about your life. It's always been something that's been the stress mechanism, right? It's never the circumstances, never the circumstances. It's always your state of being. So what we have to do, the state of being is essentially how you feel and how you think every day, or most days. So, and people don't control their state of being. They're at the whim of their state of being. So they say, I'm in a good mood, I'm in a bad mood, I'm in a bad day, I needed that. You've got to go in and you've got to teach this mind how to be healthy and happy. That's the key to life. Life is an inside job. Then the external world catches up. So the first thing we do is we put people on a diet for the mind. Focus. We use a mental filter. Is this subject healthy or unhealthy? How much time am I spending talking, reading, watching, ruminating about these unhealthy subjects? And then what am I feeding my mind on a daily basis? Is it stuff that feels good, or is it stuff that feels like shit? And I know the answer there. And it's not about thinking positive. It's about being healthy. And then when you start creating a healthier mindset, a healthier mind, not mindset, a healthier subconscious mind, the subconscious starts to say, okay, I got it here. I know what we're doing here, Zach. We're becoming healthy. Then the mind starts running in a healthier way. So if I wanted to give just a couple tools here to some people to start that process, eliminate the subjects of discontent as much as possible. If you've got a problem in your life, great. You don't need to call up your friends, family, neighbors, support system and keep regurgitating that problem. Identify it and move on. But if you're addicted to that drama, it's you. It's not the drama. It's you. And if you keep doing it, the mind literally is going to go looking. It's a servant. It's going to go looking for more drama to give you, right? When people are depressed, they go to therapy. They keep talking about their childhood. They're talking about their issues, talking about how they don't feel good. And everything you talk about, you're giving your mind more of that. So the mind's going to say, sure, Zach, let me give you more of what you're giving me. That's exactly what the process is. So start giving your mind things that feel good. And just because the mind takes you to a subject doesn't mean you should spend time on that subject. You could take your mind anywhere else. And again, teaching it to be healthy. So every time the mind volleys you stress because you've given it so much habitual stress, or maybe you had events in your life that were stressful, then the mind's like, sure, let me find more things that are stressful for you to focus on. And that's just how it works. So now start teaching the mind how to be healthy. Right before you go to bed, don't think of like the things that went wrong in your day. Don't go home from work or the office and talk again about the stuff. Just don't go there. Make the shift. I mean, I understand you got important projects. Everyone has important stuff going on in their life. You'll solve it. You always do. You'll always get the things done in your to-do list. And if they're important, you'll get them done right away. And even if, again, look at your life. You're still here. You're still moving forward. So you're okay. Start giving your mind healthier subjects, and especially the last hour or two before bed. I'm not saying turn off the TV. If you enjoy watching TV at night, and watch TV. But if you're pounding your mind with the news and getting aggravated at night, probably not something that's healthy to watch.
Mhm.
So start to relax your mind. Start to tell your mind, be calm, be relaxed, be focused. Everything's okay. Make a decision, a different decision that my mind is calm and relaxed. Stop focusing on the lack of sleep. Stop trying to self-medicate it. Don't do sleep studies, none of that garbage. A relaxed, content mind will sleep like a baby. But a relaxed, content mind is something you have to teach it to be. It just doesn't do it because this world conditions us to be in chaos. Think about this world. It's not a happy-go-lucky, free place. It's a place of fear and worry and stress. And that people think that's normal in life. It's not. But so the mind is conditioned to be that. We've got to retrain and recondition our mind to be healthy, happy, and content.
And that tool right there, that alone can cause a huge shift in somebody's life. I mean, I know that,
Yeah.
obviously. I know that from personal experience, and I've seen it from countless people that I've interacted with since meeting you. And I mean, that right there, for whoever is watching this, listening to this, implement that right there into your life, and you will see a dramatic difference. Now,
Yeah, start
obviously,
there.
other ways to expand. Yeah,
Start there.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But
and these people, like that young lady that said, "Yeah, I'm taking Klonopin." This is a young. She was a bride. She was at her wedding weekend, and now she's going to be dealing with this anxiety and this stress, this overwhelm, and she's taking Klonopin to self medicate to get through the day. And because the doctors gave it to her, it's a drug. It's not a med. It's a drug because it changes the way she feels. And guess what? When she brings kids in this world, the subconscious mind of the kids is going to learn from the mind of the mom. And these kids are going to be anxious and stressed. So look at your life. If you're somebody who's stressed and anxious, what was your childhood like? Parents, yellers and screamers, fighters, always arguing, yelling and screaming at you, putting you under a lot of pressure, grades, sports, whatever. And it's not that you did anything wrong or they did anything wrong, but the mind has just been trained to do it. So if we separate us from our mind and say, this machine is giving me excessive thoughts about these subjects. And I understand that we've got to take these subjects in life, but for me to ruminate and dwell on them, is it healthy or unhealthy? Is it productive or unproductive? And you'll find the answer. Most time it's unproductive, and it's always unhealthy. Identify the problem, solve the problem, but also make the decision in your mind, a belief that everything's going to be okay because it's always okay. And I know I don't understand how it's going to be okay, but it will. And look at your history. It has been. And so start to teach the mind to be healthier.
it's as simple as that. And I think I told you this morning, I started a new diet. I'm heading towards what I call it, Operation Hot Bod right now. And it's the same thing with your mind. You if you feed your body a bunch of junk, your input output. I mean, when it's all said and done, and I think focus, filter, feed, that makes so much sense. It's filtering out. Hey, I'm not going to eat the cupcakes. I'm not going to eat the breads, all that, and I'm going to feed my body what is needed to put on muscle mass and start
Yeah.
eating. So it's the same thing, but
Same principles.
this
And the mind is such an obedient machine, Zach, that it'll do whatever you tell it to do. It's a great employee, but it needs consistency and it needs feedback, and it'll give you feedback. So if you're having constant thoughts of even the past or the future, what if, or fear, it just means your mind's in a state of being of fear or worry, and it'll find things for you to fear and worry. So at that point, that's when we teach our clients those deeper, profound techniques too, that really get rid of all the viruses from the past. But if you start there and really teach your mind to be calmer and to teach your mind that everything's going to be okay, and you're relaxed as you're going to bed, watch what happens. Your sleep should improve.
So there's your warning right now to go ahead and start putting this into practice. And
Absolutely.
anybody that's finding incredible value from whether you're listening to this or watching this, down below, we'll be sure to put a link for a training with Coach Mike, and he's going to go a little deeper into everything that we talked about today, what the mind is, and again, how you can actually start making it work for you rather it controlling you.
Yeah, make sure, we always say this at the end of the video, we should say at the beginning, which we got to do that. Like this, share it, subscribe if you like this stuff, because how do we get this message out unless it's through people that enjoy this message? And we've helped thousands and thousands of people radically change their lives, dramatically change their lives, and we're blessed that we're able to do this. But people in life, they're not supposed to be suffering, Zach. I mean, there's too many people. I'm not talking about the suffering going on in poverty-stricken world, that too. But I mean, there's so many people, and there's so many people not enjoying the life that they've worked so hard to enjoy. That's not what this game's all about. You're not supposed to be stressed and anxious and worried until you retire. But then when your health starts breaking down, now you're dealing with all that crap. That's not what life is. Life is supposed to be a series of enjoyable experiences, even if they're challenging. That's what life is. And when you get to that mind that understands that, then everything you go through, you're going to sail through the stress and the challenges, but you're also going to really enjoy your life at different levels. That's what we teach our clients how to do. And so if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment below, share it, subscribe, and we've got a lot more coming.
Fire as always, Coach Mike. And again, that link for that free training is also going to be down below, but make sure you check out some of the other videos that Coach Mike has put together. You can click any of the videos here on the screen right now. And I can tell you right now, you're going to learn a lot and love it. And make sure you share that and like it as well. Coach Mike, as always, we'll see you later.
All right, buddy. Take care.